You can be technically right and still lose the room completely. And I did that for years and never really noticed. Today I'm showing you exactly why and the 4-letter fix. Welcome back to Speaking with Confidence, the podcast that helps you build the soft skills that lead to real results. Communication, storytelling, public speaking, and showing up with confidence in every conversation that counts. I'm Tim Newman, a recovering college professor turned communication coach, and I'm thrilled to guide you on your journey to becoming a powerful communicator. Let me take you back to a Tuesday morning lecture. I had this beautiful 30-minute walkthrough on persuasive speech structure all planned out. Slides were lined up, had some smooth transitions. Every talking point was locked in. I delivered it exactly the way I had rehearsed it. And the whole time, I watched the heads nod along. I remember thinking, this is landing. They're getting it. Then the quiz came, and half the class missed the most basic question in the entire unit. I hadn't taught anything. I had performed at them. The nodding was an agreement. It was just nodding. And that's one of the moments I started paying attention to a distinction that changed how I teach and how I coach. The difference between broadcasting and actually connecting. Broadcasting is when you prepare your message, deliver it with confidence, and mistake silence for agreement. You see it in job interviews, when someone rambles through their resume without ever learning what the hiring manager actually needs. You see it in team meetings, when an idea gets presented as a finished product instead of a starting point for conversation. Every time the pattern repeats, you're talking. They're tuning out, and neither one of you knows why. But here's the real cost. When you broadcast instead of connect, people stop bringing you their real problems. They just smile, nod, and check out. Congratulations, you built yourself an audience that agrees with everything you say. And that feels great for your ego and does absolutely nothing for your growth. John Maxwell writes about this in Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. But guess what? Connecting isn't about having more to say. It's about saying it from their world instead of yours. And until you cross that gap, you're not communicating. You're just making a bunch of noise. Once I saw this pattern in myself, I started seeing it everywhere. Maxwell breaks connection failures into 4 categories: assumption, arrogance, indifference, and control. The first one is the sneakiest because you can do it all day and never once notice it. Assumption is deciding you already know what someone wants before they tell you. I once coached a VP who spent an entire week building an aggressive growth pitch for his board. Turned out the board's actual concern that quarter was retention, not growth. That's a completely different conversation. He never asked, he just assumed, and he built the wrong pitch beautifully. We treat people like they're the exact same version we met last time. A good tailor never does that. Every client gets measured fresh, every single visit. People deserve the same. Arrogance is worse because it's not just skipping the question, it's deciding that the question doesn't even matter. It's the person who walks into a room certain their read on things is the only one worth hearing. Most big conflicts don't come from someone being wrong. They come from 2 people missing each other's version of the facts entirely. When you assume your slice of the picture is the whole picture, you stop looking for what you're missing. Indifference is quieter, and it doesn't feel like a landmine because it isn't loud or mean. It's the reply that answers the words of the message and ignores the actual problem underneath of it. It's asking someone how their week went and being 3 sentences into your response before they finish theirs. It's not cruelty. It's comfort. Yours, not theirs. And comfort dressed up as politeness still lands as coldness on the other end. Control looks like strength, but it's usually fear wearing a nice suit. It's the leader who treats information like leverage instead of oxygen. It's a manager who says, I'll handle it, and never explains what it actually is. It's the team member who nods along in the meeting and vents in the hallway the second the door closes. Secrecy might feel like control in the moment. It never builds trust. It only builds distance. I watched 2 executives torpedo a product launch this exact way. Both of them were right about something. Neither one was curious about the other's version of right. And the launch died in a conference room, not because the product was bad, but because nobody built a bridge between 2 correct opinions. 4 landmines: assumption, arrogance, indifference, and control. And here's the uncomfortable part. You've probably stepped on 2 of them this week already. Knowing where the landmines are doesn't get you across the field. You need a bridge. Here's a mindset shift I come back to on the show more than any other. Talk like you're correct, but listen like you're wrong. And that's harder than it sounds because most of us, we don't actually listen. We wait, we nod, we hold our next sentence in our back pocket, and then the second there's a gap, we jump in with it. Real listening means putting that sentence down completely and taking in what the other person is actually telling you, not what you assume they'd say. Listening is a foundation, but a foundation with nothing built on top of it if it's just a hole in the ground. So here's the structure I hand my clients, one I picked up and use constantly. It's called FORM. Family, occupation, recreation, and message. Family doesn't mean interrogating someone about their relatives. It means asking about the people in their life with real curiosity. How's the new baby sleeping? How was the trip? Occupation means learning what someone's day actually looks like, not just their title. Ask what part of the job they keep doing even if they won the lottery. That question tells you more than a resume ever could. Recreation is where the gold usually is. Ask what they do when nobody's paying them to do it. People light up talking about things that they choose for themselves, and message is the one that matters most. What's actually on their mind right now? What are they trying to get done? What's keeping them up at night? 4 questions. Ask one. Actually listen to the answer and follow the thread wherever it goes. That's it. That's the whole script. I use this the second I walk into any room, whether it's a client meeting or a networking event I didn't really want to attend. Open with something real about the moment you're both in. Ask one form question and actually sit with the answer. If they mention their kid plays travel baseball and you grew up playing ball, that's your bridge. Use it. And the last piece, you have to be willing to move into their world instead of demanding they come find you in yours. When I taught high school students after moving on from an accelerated graduate program, I had to drop my pace and match theirs. A blank stare from a 17-year-old doesn't mean disrespect. It usually means you're moving too fast for them to catch up. Meeting someone where they are isn't the same as becoming them. It's just paying attention long enough to notice where there actually is. A broadcaster stays in their own lane and hopes people follow. A connector crosses over, learns the terrain, and builds something with the other person instead of at them. It's more work. It's also the only version that actually holds up. So here's your assignment this week. Pick one conversation, any conversation, and run form before you say anything else. One question, one real answer, 1 second of actually listening before you respond. You don't have to be the most interesting person in the room. You just have to be the most interested. Do that consistently, and you'll stop being someone people politely tolerate. You become someone people actually want in the room. That's all for today. Remember, we're looking for progress, not perfection. Be sure to visit speakingwithconfidencepodcast.com to get your free ebook, The Top 21 Challenges for Public Speakers and How to Overcome Them. You can also register for the Forming for Public Speaking group. Always remember, your voice has the power to change the world. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.